I'm Will.
And I'm Bella,
Welcome to Holy Matrimony.
a podcast where we discuss my journey into the world of professional wrestling.
And each week, I'm going to guide you through my ultimate obsession.
Awesome. Of course, we're going to go through all of our podcast details before we start today. We do release new episodes every Thursday. You can find those episodes on most of the major podcast players, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, all those. You also can find us on YouTube, so some of you watch us. Our YouTube channel is Holy Matrimony Podcast. That's spelled HOLYMATCHRIMONY. So that's youtube.com/@holymatrimony. You can also follow us on social media so you can stay up to date. We've also been doing some fun little reels and, just having a good time. Those are going to be on X and Instagram, and that's @holymatrimony. All the same spelling, of course.
Yep, so please like, comment, subscribe, share, follow, all that good stuff. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you think, what you want to see from us. We'd love to hear from you, and it really helps us out. Really appreciate it.
Yes, definitely. And today we have a fun one. We are going to be talking about the draft.
The WWE Draft.
Not the military draft, not the NFL draft, not the NBA draft, the WWE draft.
Yes. So, WWE 2024 Draft was on over 2 days, SmackDown and Raw for this year. Your first time ever seeing a WWE Draft.
Yes, and by the way, I get it, but every time they read around, I was reminded that it is the 2024 WWE Draft.
Yes.
For those of you who don't watch it, they have rounds like any other draft, and every time they'd come out and say, for the 2024 WWE Draft, Raw selects or SmackDown selects, every single time.
They don't want you to think that you time traveled back to last year or anything.
Yeah, they made it clear that I wasn't in the 1999 draft. I wasn't in like the 2050 draft. Like I was definitely in the 2024 WWE Draft.
Well, that's funny you say that because I want to get your thoughts on the overall draft. But I also want to know if you have any idea of the history of the WWE Draft.
No, I mean, to be real, I don't have a history of any draft.
That's true.
So definitely not WWE. Do I understand the concept of a draft? Yes. But this isn't something I've ever gotten into. I will say that everyone knows from our previous episodes, I was not looking forward to this draft because I don't like change. I'm a Raw girly. Well, that sounds bad. WWE Raw girly. And I was so afraid what was going to happen, but it was actually way more exciting than I thought.
Yeah.
I got pumped multiple times. I got sad sometimes. Like WWE can invoke so many emotions from me.
It can. And I'm glad it did. And I know that from us talking a little bit, I think you were happy with the overall draft.
Yeah, I actually think it was weird because we'll talk about this a little later. I was so scared going into this, but I came out pretty good.
You did.
You did not.
I mean, yeah. As somebody who watches both shows, I guess I'm okay with it overall. Just maybe would have preferred a few people to go to different shows.
Yeah, I mean, because now we are watching both.
Yes.
I finally have dedicated. It's been weeks now. I'm
Finally
watching
got her.
SmackDown as well. So I don't know why it seemed like I wouldn't have liked it, but I think it's because like you're used to something.
Yes.
And that's how I want it. Plus, if we go to any more shows, Raw is normally what comes by us or our schedule fits with. And so it's like, well, I didn't want to lose anybody to SmackDown.
Right. Yeah, and so again, for that aspect, you did good.
I did very well.
We'll get into it as we go, a little more with the picks and stuff.
Of course.
So overall, though, good experience for you.
Yeah, I was hyped. The show, I'm kind of jealous. I'm like, next year we definitely have to go to the draft live shows. Those were just great.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty excited to see some of those, legends or those older superstars come back and just surprise everybody. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty much every round pick. I'm like, who's that? Who's that? Because you were excited. You're like, oh, that's this person, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, and again, we'll get into more of those, but I think your favorite person who announced anything from the draft, I think, was Teddy Long.
Oh my gosh, I loved Teddy Long. Like, I'm so sad that he's not. He said he was a manager, right?
He was general manager,
Yeah, I'm
yes.
so sad he's still not because he was just so fun, just
Yes.
amazing. His energy, I loved it. And now I'm sad that I wasn't there for that era.
Yes. Well, I think it's, good that we're talking about Teddy Long because he used to be a general manager of SmackDown a long time ago, back when I kind of first started watching, the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s. So I think that's a good way to kind of take us back and do a quick history of the draft.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
And again, I'm not going to go into every detail, and I don't even know all the details myself, but just to give you background, because when I first told you there was a draft, you're like, what are they doing?
Oh, yeah, you said draft. And I mean, like I said, I know sports draft. So I kind of figured, but I'm also like, okay, but it's like WWE. What do they
Yeah.
mean? Like, are they getting
Yes.
like new people? Like, I didn't really understand. And of course, I was upset because change is no fun. I
Yes.
mean, it is, but I was just getting comfortable and now they're throwing this at me.
Yes. So in the SmackDown became a show in the late 90s,
Okay.
and there was Raw and SmackDown, and there was not two separate rosters. So people would appear in both shows. That's how it was.
Now, before SmackDown, was it always called Raw?
WWE Raw, yep.
And so they
Was
only played Monday nights.
Yes. I mean, there's been other shows in the past, but Raw was their flagship show. Raw
Okay.
started in like '93, and
Okay.
it was their flagship show for a long time. They'd had other like different shows, but that was their main one. And then when SmackDown became a thing, that was like the next big show they had.
Okay. And it was always Mondays and Fridays?
No, SmackDown's been on different days. Raw's always been on Mondays, but SmackDown's been on many different days. I think Thursdays. I think they're on Tuesdays for a little bit. Friday's been the home for the longest period of time, but it's been different days.
Okay.
So at some point in the early-ish 2000s, I'm not sure of the exact date. I want to say 2002, maybe 2003. They realized that WWE had a pretty big roster, and it was time to start splitting them up. A lot of purposes. Number one, you have two different rosters. You can make more money at live events because you can have two different rosters touring at the same time.
So before, did just like all of them just wrestle on both shows, or how did that work then before they split it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they wouldn't all wrestle every day, obviously, but the whole roster would be on both shows, and you'd have different matches and try to continue on the feuds there.
See, that's what I'm saying. This stuff is sneaky. They
Yeah.
said, how do we make more money? Well, if we only let them be on certain rosters, they have to pay for both to see all the stars. I see. I see.
Yes. Also, like I said, so if you have split rosters, the Raw roster can be in the Northeast, and the SmackDown roster can be in the West, and they tour around those areas and they switch, so you can have more people touring at once.
Or you force everybody to fly everywhere to see both shows because, well, I really want to see what's going on.
Yes. So, sometime in the early 2000s, they did a draft where they split the rosters up. SmackDown got some people, Raw got some people, and that's when they kind of started this whole two world title thing. Because obviously, somebody got a world title at the time. I believe SmackDown got it. Like Brock Lesnar got drafted, he was the world champion, so they had to create another one. So Triple H gets the world championship. So you have one for Raw, one for SmackDown, and after that, a few years, like the draft becomes like an annual thing.
Now, the question is, was one title higher than the other, or are they like truly equal?
So throughout the years, it's been different. Realistically, generally speaking, the one that was on Raw was generally the bigger title.
Okay.
Um, until the recent years with Roman Reigns, and that's kind of changed. Where obviously Roman Reigns' title was the bigger title.
Yes, my tribal chief.
Yes,
I understand.
yes. So it really depends. I mean, who's on there, but Raw has always been, or not always, but since that time, Raw's been on USA. It's you know always been there. SmackDown's always been on. Again, not always, but a lot of times, most of the time was on like a broadcast network, so a Fox,
Oh,
somewhere
okay.
where
Yeah.
so it's available to more people, but a little bit more limitations of what you can do.
So USA was also really smart because they said we're going to get the big show and people have to pay. I mean, obviously for the young kids out there, you don't realize with cable back in the day, you didn't just get all the channels. So
Yes,
USA was one that you paid for a different package for.
yes, and I mean Raw was on USA since '93 when it started.
Mhm.
They left for a little bit, went to Spike, and then went back to USA. So, but they've had it the majority of the time.
And they still get us because if I want to watch it live, I have to pay for live TV. And now we're in the era of streaming. And so USA, man, smart people.
Yes, smart. And next year we'll go to Netflix, and we'll see how that changes. But anyways, going back to the draft. So yeah, they did it for a good couple of years. It was, pretty normal. You see some superstars go back and forth. They've done it differently at different times. There's times where champions are up for grabs. There's times where they're not. Kind of depends. Then they went through a phase where they didn't do a draft. They went through a phase where they didn't split the rosters again. It was everybody on the same shows. It's been back and forth, but they've had a draft, the last few years and stuff. But I think this is the first, like, the Triple H era. This is the first draft of the Triple H era, really trying to make it a thing again.
Yeah, I definitely see where this like makes sense with storylines and stuff, but I just really think you should have given me all the information before I started watching. I didn't realize it was this intricate. I didn't know I had to have these many emotions that it's just like constantly something's going on.
Well, I mean, I can, I don't. You got enough time? I can tell you everything there is to know if you want to learn it.
Well, we have however many weeks that we can talk about this
That's true.
every Thursday.
That is true. So, I guess it's kind of good you don't know all the information, because then we wouldn't have this podcast to talk about it.
Well, and that's true. That's the whole point of the podcast. So I guess I'm shooting myself in the foot by not
Yeah.
wanting all this. But
Yes.
I take it back.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for that.
I was just
You're
emotional.
too sweet for that.
We're not going there again.
All right. So that's caught up on the history of the draft.
Yes.
So now let's talk about this year's draft, the 2024 WWE Draft, in case you forgot what we were talking about.
Yes. Once again, not the NFL draft, not the NBA draft, the WWE 2024 draft.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I was pretty impressed with myself because going into SmackDown, I was like, I have no idea what to expect. You told me before, too, because I was like, well, how does it work? And you're like, well, I don't know because it changes, which I'm like, oh, my, okay, whatever. But immediately, they put up on the screen how the draft is going to work. I think Corey, explained it. And I was like, oh, I get it.
Right.
Because I was like, wait a second. Okay, there's 4 rounds. I get that. It said, and I don't know if you read it before me or I was the first one to say something because it said the champions are secure.
Yeah, I hadn't read anything up until you told me about it.
And yeah, and I was like, wait, the champions are secure? And you were like, wait, what? And you looked, and I was like, yes, because that means Damian staying,
yep.
and I was like, which probably means the whole Judgment Day. Not happy that Sammy was staying because that's Gunther's title, but it's fine.
Yeah, I also wasn't the most thrilled that Cody was going to SmackDown, but
well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say because we didn't know because Cody told us, he promised us he wasn't going anywhere on a Raw a couple weeks ago, and so I said that, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that must be how it's happening. You read it, and then the next screen popped up, and it was the champions on Raw and the champions on SmackDown that were safe.
Yes,
and immediately you were like, wait, Cody's on SmackDown?
Yeah, which I knew I should have thought about. Just it didn't click in my head until I saw the graphic, and I was like, oh, yep, he sure is, isn't he? So I guess I got to watch SmackDown every single week, no matter what now.
I mean, we were going to anyway, but he did lie to us. He said he was not going anywhere, and he literally went somewhere.
Yeah, maybe that's a heel turn for Cody in my book,
Which, cool, that's fine.
But yes, so champions were safe, so good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we don't need to go in order, but I do think it's important also to call out the next thing we learned is your tribal chief,
Yes.
Roman Reigns, was not in the draft. He withdrew from the draft.
Which, I mean, what a boss move. Let's be real.
It's so nice of him, right? Of course he was going to be first round pick. He doesn't want to steal that away from somebody else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What a good man. He sat there and thought about everybody else. He knew, he is the tribal chief, not you, Solo. He's the tribal chief, so he said, first of all, I'm out of this, okay? Because when I come back, I'm coming back where I want.
Right.
And I'm doing what I'm going to do. But he also said, man, we really should give it to some other people. It's just, I had that title for what, over 1,300 days or something. I'm clearly the best person on here. And I'm going to do the right thing. And I'm going to withdraw. So someone else has a chance to be number 1.
Yeah, very nice of a true tribal chief. Put your ones up for Roman Reigns.
Roman, the actual tribal chief, yes.
So that was some information we learned right away.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think we can get into some of the draft picks and talking through some maybe surprises, some that aren't so surprising, kind of general thoughts on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the other thing with this, and I was seeing it on social media going into it, a lot of people were excited with the graphic for the draft because it had the red, the blue, and the yellow.
Yes.
So they were like, oh, it's representing all brands, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Of course, I had no idea about NXT. I know what it is, but I haven't watched it.
Yep.
So I knew nobody. And
I
I
haven't
want
watched it
to
yet.
stop. Anyway, I want to say, wasn't Carmelo Hayes in the first round?
Yeah, I think he was what SmackDown's second pick because Bianca
Oh,
was first.
oh, that's right. Yeah, he was the second pick.
Yes.
And so, with Bianca, I feel like I was like thinking so many people because I really thought it was going to be Seth freaking Rollins first because
Yes.
he was on that night. And then I was like, oh, Bianca makes so much sense. So when she was called first, I was like, obviously, duh.
Right.
But then when they called the next one, it was like Carmelo Hayes. And I'm like, who's that? And then they showed the little NXT room.
Yes.
Side note, you love Shawn Michaels, and you
Yes.
did not tell me Shawn Michaels runs NXT.
I feel like I've said that. You probably just didn't listen to me.
No, I don't think so. I think normally when we talk about him, you just sing his song and you call him the sexy boy. That's all you do.
Yeah.
I would.
Heartbreak Kid runs NXT.
Yeah, you didn't tell me that. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I know somebody there.
I mean, he's not on it very often, but yeah, he runs it.
No, but yeah, they were like, oh, and they're talking to Shawn Michaels or whatever. And I'm like, oh, like the Shawn Michaels? So
Yes, the Shawn Michaels.
he tells me some things, but not everything.
I think you just didn't listen. Anyways.
No. Anyway, so I was like, who's this? And you were excited, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I've watched. I haven't watched a lot of NXT recently, but I saw Carmelo Hayes debut. I really like him. I think I think he has a lot of potential to be like a future star. So I think getting drafted that high, the spot he was in, the spot he put himself in, I think it was really awesome to see.
Yeah, because he obviously that night had a match with Cody.
Cody.
And I was impressed too, right? I don't know any of these NXT people. Well, I know one. We'll talk about that in a minute. And so I didn't know what to expect. I thought he did really well. I like his vibe. I was good with it.
Yeah, I mean Carmelo Hayes can do a lot in the ring. I think people have called him like, on the internet like the next John Cena because he's got like a really charismatic personality.
Oh yeah.
So I think he had a really good match with Cody. Even though he lost, I think it made him look good in what
Oh
he could
yeah.
do. So I'm really excited. I think like that's a really good spot for him to be in.
Well, and I actually liked that you let the NXT person have a match. I wish they would have done it with all the NXT picks so I could see them right off the bat. And I know I will see them, except for one.
Yeah, let's get into that. It happened on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
The Mad Dragon, Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I know people like him. We're allowed to have our opinions, so don't get mad at me. I've seen one match of his.
One match, and you watched it on a plane.
No. But listen, I also watched a Creed Brothers match on that plane, and man, was that a good match. His was not okay. Okay, I'm sorry. A lot of people be like it was a good match. I do not like his style.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to me to see because I know you don't like Ilya from the one match you saw.
Well,
You
and
know?
you can say more about what I don't like about it because I don't know the proper terminology and stuff. But I think you knew right away why I didn't like him. I didn't even have to say it.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because to say this because you do like the drama of pro wrestling, but something about I think the way he moves seems really dramatic to you, like over the top almost. It's like his facial expressions.
Yes, I like the drama outside of the match, right? I
Yes.
love the talking and the feuds and the promos. That's great. I do not like drama in the actual match. I don't like people who are overly expressive, overly dramatic with their selling, right? That's what it's
Right.
called.
Yes.
Because to me, that's what makes it more fake.
Yeah.
We know, sorry if I'm breaking this to anybody, we know WWE is fake.
I mean, don't like to use that word, but yes, it's
It's
scripted.
scripted. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, I'm new to this. It's scripted, but I like when the wrestlers can make it real. And he, by doing that to me, does the exact opposite. It's like it to me, it's like a bad actor in a movie.
Yeah, it's really funny you say that because actually, like a lot of deep wrestling fans think that he does that very well with the way he lays his moves in and the way he like like the aggressiveness of his attacks. Actually, a lot of wrestling fans like Ilya Dragunov for doing that.
But it's not even it's like, you know what I mean? Because I'm not saying his moves aren't good, right?
Right.
It's just when he like overly flails around, or his like face is like so like, it honestly, like, that dude would never be cast in like any actual good movie, right? Like, he would totally be in like, those really crazy like Netflix movies, like the Rubber Tire one or whatever, like that kind of stuff. Like, he could be in Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, easy.
I think that you just need to watch more and another match, maybe his match with Gunther, and see what you actually think of it.
Well, no, because I'm going to be even more mad because he's going to be acting like that, and it's going to take away from my person. We'll see, though. I will give him a chance.
Yes, I mean he's gonna feud with Gunther. It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Their feuds are entangled. Their lives are entangled in wrestling, so it's gonna happen.
and that's fine. And if he acts like that, I hope Gunther lets him have it and says, "Oh, if you want to act like that, I'll give you an actual reason to act like that."
Oh gosh.
But
Okay.
anyway, I digress. I know a lot of people like him, but like I said, guys, this is all fun,
Yes, of course. It's your own
and
opinion.
we're allowed to have opinions.
Yes. And again, your opinions might change eventually. Maybe not on him, but on things. They're going to change at some point. You're going to like people or you're not going to like people. So
Of course.
it'll be interesting to see if there's anything that you see from Ilya that you're going to end up liking at one point in time. Or if you're just not going to like him. That does happen sometimes too.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Yeah,
It's okay. It's okay, guys.
it is okay.
Don't be sad.
So yeah, those are the two biggest NXT call ups that I think it was good that we talk about.
Oh yeah, I definitely had to bring in Ilya.
I think somebody who isn't technically an NXT call up because he was signed with SmackDown, but he basically has been doing NXT this entire time that I know you don't know a lot about, but I'm really excited to see on Raw is Braun Breaker.
Yeah, well, and he had a match that SmackDown night.
Yes.
And
Poor Cedric Alexander got destroyed.
oh, I mean, like in 2 seconds or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like,
Fastest match I've ever seen. I haven't been watching long, guys, but fastest one I've ever
you don't
seen.
watch WWE Speed
Well,
apparently.
no, actually, I have. Okay, besides Speed, I did watch a couple of Speeds.
I think it was even faster than Speed. But anyways.
Maybe, yeah. But just from that little experience, I was like, oh yeah, he's really cool,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm excited to see him. Now, another side note here, though. Raw now has Braun Breaker,
Yes.
Braun Strowman,
Yes.
and Bronson Reed.
Yes.
Why is nobody acknowledging the Bronze? Like, why aren't they together?
Yeah, they should start a staple, right? And call it. I think we came up with the name for it.
I mean, you did. You can take credit.
Yeah, okay. Brawn before beauty, right?
Yeah, or Bronze over Beauty, something.
Yes. So that'd be a great staple for them.
And I mean, man, they're all three beasts.
Yeah.
Like, they can't get beat. Like, nobody thought, and maybe they did. And maybe now Triple H is like, damn it, somebody figured it out before I could do it.
I'll give him a call this week. We'll see.
Yeah, let him know. But if not, let him know. Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I know they're all spelled differently. Okay, Braun Breaker and Braun Strowman spelled differently, and then Bronson Reed. But come on, it's all Braun.
Yeah. So who's the leader of that one?
Well, man, I mean, I haven't seen him, but based on just pure looks and like the way he carries himself, probably Braun Strowman.
Yeah. I mean, that was cool. That was your first time seeing, really the first time seeing. You've seen some rumbles and stuff in the past, but that was your first time seeing Braun Strowman. What'd you think of that? Like of him?
A beast.
He's crazy, huh?
Yeah, like wow. His stature and stuff gives me the same feeling like when oh goodness. Oh gosh, come back to me. I totally lost it, guys. I'm sorry. What's his name? The big one from UFC.
The big one. Oh, Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar. Sorry.
Like, who are you talking about?
Guys, I said too many B's, and now and that's Brock too. That's too many BRs. Anyway,
we can add him to the. No, just kidding.
No, because Brock Lesnar just comes out, and you're like, wow, that dude. Like
Yes.
he's a monster. He's not human. That was the same kind of feeling I got with Braun Strowman. Obviously, not like personality wise. I don't know enough, but just stature.
Yeah, it'd be real. I think because knowing your style and what you kind of like in wrestling, I think he's gonna be one you will like.
Awesome.
Once you see him.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm for it. Like I said, we don't need money for it. We don't need a shout out. Just I want the bronze together, please.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I'll call Triple H and we'll see if we can make it happen.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah. What else? What else? Anything? Any other interesting? We have a couple we really want to talk about, but any other interesting ones you want to talk about?
Interesting, not so much, I guess. Oh, well, I guess we could kind of break this up a little bit. Sad for me because you have more sad than I do.
Yes.
But now these kind of overlap. I was very sad that Andrade is
Mm-hmm.
going to SmackDown,
Yes.
and same with DIY
Yes.
because I really like both of them, especially these last few weeks. Man, they've just been getting me. I think you were able to kind of spot my style more.
Yes.
Obviously, they're different styles, but you're getting it because of them. And I was just so sad that they're leaving SmackDown.
I know.
Or I'm sorry, leaving
Leaving Raw
Raw
for
to
SmackDown,
SmackDown. Yeah,
which again might be a good thing where some of those stars that you like are going to be on SmackDown now. So might make it a little easier for you to watch and a little more excitement for you to start watching SmackDown.
exactly. It's just sad because there's no SmackDown coming near us like ever right now.
Right.
And so, but there's Raws that possibly
Mm-hmm.
we could go to. And I'm like, oh, I would love to see them. And now I can't.
But we can see Rey Mysterio because the LWO got drafted to Raw, which is
Oh my
pretty
gosh.
exciting.
Yeah, you weren't expecting that. I wasn't
No.
expecting that. I was so excited. The moment they read the name, I said, I didn't even listen to him say the rest because we heard Rey Mysterio, got excited. And then at the end, Carlito, which
Yes.
still excited.
Which I'm a big Carlito fan. Obviously, he was
Hmm.
wrestling at the time. I was really into it. He's still great now.
Even though he's a traitor.
Dude's jacked. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
I mean, you know me, I don't like traitors, but I was kind of for it.
Yeah.
I was like,
But
he
we
did it.
also, with Rey Mysterio being on Raw and Judgment Day being on Raw, we might see Dom beat up his deadbeat dad again. So
Oh no, no, no. Ray will destroy Dom.
Dom's got to get that win at some point to make
I
him a star.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, his dad's just got him every time.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, but there's definitely potential for there to be a good feud there.
Exactly.
So
But I mean, talking about that because you were also sad about DIY, especially.
yes.
And what other ones were you like kind of upset about?
Well, I mean, DIY, the big one, obviously. They didn't switch brands, but I think that, like, again, because there's more of a chance of Raw coming to our area, I'm not going to. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton stayed on. It makes sense. I understood they would, but we didn't get them on Raw.
Yes.
Um, so I think that's really the main ones. Obviously, we already talked to Cody. For me, with DIY going over, I am excited that we're gaining a tag team on Raw, though.
How excited are you about this tag team?
The new Catch Republic,
Yes, the big strong boy
Big Strong Boy.
and his sidekick.
Not sidekick. One of my favorite wrestlers, Pete Dunne.
Yes, and I here's the thing. Watching them, I really like them. I think Pete should cut his hair.
You're not a big fan of Pete Dunne's look, are you?
No, I literally remember, and we're gonna talk about this in a future episode a little bit more because that's a surprise. But when I first saw him, I was like, "Oh, it's like a female wrestler." Now, no, I saw him from the back, and I saw the hair, and he looks short. I think he is.
He's on the shorter side, yeah.
And so immediately, I was like, "Oh, that's like the girl that comes out with them." And you're like, "No, it's not."
Mm-mm.
So I think if he cut his hair, it would help.
Yeah. But I'm gonna definitely have to show you some Pete Dunne stuff, and so you can see why he's like one of my go-to people that I really like to see.
Well, seeing them since, I
Yes.
get it, and especially the big strong boy.
Yeah.
I mean, you
He's
said that, and I was like, okay, no, he's a big, strong
he's a
boy.
big, strong boy.
So I'm impressed with him.
Yes. And then they came over to Raw with Karrion Kross and his group, so they'll continue their feud. So I mean, I'm excited to see what kind of matchups we're gonna have there. I think you put them in the ring with somebody like a Miz and R-Truth. They're gonna have a lot of fun together. So like losing DIY sucks, but I think we're gonna have some cool stuff to see on Raw.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, we did keep some like groups and stuff that we wanted anyway. Like you said, um, we have Alpha Academy still on there.
Yes.
The rest of the Judgment Day, they weren't technically safe, but they came over too. So we're gonna keep them. And I know you love Finn.
Oh yeah.
So we still had some good ones. It was just DIY. Oh, and the Creed brothers. I was so excited that the Creed brothers stayed.
Yes. You might be able to get some really good matches out of like New Catch Republic and the Creed brothers.
Oh, if that big strong boy can pick them up, then
Oh yeah.
I'm impressed.
He's going to for sure.
Yeah, but I do love the Creed brothers. But yeah, DIY was just slowly becoming one of my favorites. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, "You're crazy. This isn't the same style." But a lot of like kind of why I liked them, I feel like I see similarities with like Ricochet. I think Ricochet's so athletic.
Yes.
Um, just their styles are so like my thing. So I was also really excited that Ricochet stayed on Raw.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that wasn't like a super surprise to me,
No.
but I mean, I've always enjoyed Ricochet and seeing what he does. Also looking at Sheamus stayed on Raw, which makes sense. He'll probably feud with Drew McIntyre, but I think you're liking Sheamus' stuff too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've always like known Sheamus because how
Yes.
do you not?
Yes.
But so yeah, there was some that I wasn't surprised about. There were some that you weren't surprised about. We talked about it. There were some things that were like so obvious. So like when
Yes.
DIY went over before they got drafted, Candace
Yes.
got drafted, and you were
Yes.
like, oh well, obviously they're going to SmackDown too because Johnny and Candace are
Married.
married. So
Yes.
there were some things that I was like, I'm learning
Yes.
or getting this, but there were a couple surprises.
Yeah, which they've, in the past, WWE has separated husband and wives and stuff. Doesn't go over well. I don't think Triple H would do that unless they are cool with it, but, most probably aren't that great with it.
Yeah, because we kind of knew Seth Rollins was gonna stay on Raw because Becky was protected on Raw, which
Yes.
fine.
Yeah.
We were fine with that, but yeah, there were some things that like we really could catch.
Yes. Now, somebody else coming over to Raw, who I think they're slowly becoming like people you really enjoy, especially within the women's division, is Damage Control.
Oh yeah, EO is great,
Yes.
and I really like them. So that was cool because Nia Jax went over to SmackDown, and she
Yes.
was definitely one of my favorites women or favorite women. But now I definitely Jade is huge for me.
Yes.
We figured she'd stay on SmackDown. I would have honestly been surprised. But I also am liking Tiffany.
Yes. Tiffy time.
Tiffy time, with her. I think the moment I fell in love with her was when she said I had a Tiffy epiphany.
Tiffy Epiphany.
And I was like, oh, she's great.
Yes.
And so it kind of sucks because I'm like, oh, I'm really liking these women and they're gonna stay on SmackDown. But then it was really cool that Damage Control came over because I do really like Io.
Right. So again, the cool thing about the draft is like you have all these superstars you like, and they might get split up, but now you have two shows to watch where you have people you really like.
Yes, I think I realized that at the end. Like
Yes.
I think I like it now because SmackDown it's been hard for me to get into because I was so into Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Now that there are some people over there that I like, I think I'm gonna get more into it.
Yes. One thing, kind of backing up real quick that I was gonna mention, I forgot, was the NXT call ups.
Hmm.
I got looking a little more into it. It sounds like they were not told they were getting actually called up.
Yeah, they were like super excited, and I was like, "Oh wow, they're some good actors," because they
Yeah.
looked surprised. But I figured it was like all set up, so
Right.
I was like, "Oh, okay, that's just because that was their actual reactions."
Yes.
Except obviously Carmelo Hayes because he was there at
Right.
SmackDown, but the rest, yeah,
Yes. So I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. Like, it's a life-changing moment for them, the opportunity. I think it's like cool not letting them know for sure, giving them some hope.
yeah, more like an actual draft,
Yes.
like the other sports drafts. I agree.
Yes. I do hope that the main roster was told because, you know, having to change shows, you have to change what days you travel, you have to change all that stuff. I hope they were told because that's a big step for them, but because in the past they haven't been. There have been
Okay.
drafts where they weren't told.
Well, except for some obvious ones, right? Because some of them showed up on their draft night or whatever.
Yes, but yeah, you'd hope they're told. But anyways, I think that's just wanted to bring that in as far as like talking about trying to become a real draft. I think that's a really cool touch to it.
And I completely agree. I
Yeah.
really like that. I know talking kind of about it wasn't really a surprise, I guess, but it was fun. Obviously, I'm super happy that Gunther stayed
Yes.
on Raw and he stayed with Ludwig Kaiser.
Yes.
Love him. Um, but I noticed right away they did not call Vinci.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, what does that mean? Well, they split him,
Yes.
which is kind of cool. So I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen now with Gunther and Imperium.
Yes. Yeah. I don't really have an idea what might happen with them. I don't know if they're gonna add another member or if they're gonna completely break up and he'll be by himself, or if they're just gonna be those two for now. Again, in the past, there have been other members of Imperium and stuff, but that will be very interesting, especially with Ilya coming up. Is that gonna be a point of like contention for them, or what's gonna happen? I also think it'll be interesting to see what happens with Vinci on SmackDown
Yes.
because what is he going to get kind of rebranded into something different? Is he going to be put into a tag team? Like what's going to happen there? Um, so I don't know. I'm kind of excited for that. I think that both Ludwig Kaiser and Vinci are good wrestlers.
Oh yeah, I really liked them. But of course I liked the little turn on
Yes.
Vinci that Kaiser did. That was just so fun and so
Yes.
like Imperium. Why I love Imperium. So
Mm-hmm.
that was just like an interesting one. I didn't necessarily see that coming until obviously they read that it was just Gunther and Kaiser, and I was like, oh,
Yes.
well, where's Vinci going?
Right.
So that was just like a little shout out for me because obviously Gunther's like my boy.
Yes. Yeah. Super excited about that. You didn't lose Gunther.
No, I also didn't lose Drew.
Yes. So that's probably what we need to talk about.
Yes,
Because,
for those watching, I don't know if you noticed our attire.
yes. So for those listening, Bella's wearing a Drew McIntyre shirt,
hmm
and I'm wearing the best in the world CM Punk shirt.
One of his 800 CM Punk shirts. That's
And,
probably who you have the most of. Maybe, maybe
yeah,
not.
I mean, I don't say 800. I think I have a lot less now, but yes. So,
Go ahead. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties.
yes, I'll keep going. So CM Punk gets drafted before Drew McIntyre, which I kind of expected because what better way to fuel this feud than CM Punk getting drafted before Drew? Like, I think that was a really good touch of things, and I'm really excited to see where this feud's gonna go. And we'll talk obviously more as we go, but I think that this feud's just proving CM Punk like why he's so good. And I think you even mentioned the fact that you understand how good he is on the mic.
Yeah, because I haven't been able to see a lot of his actual matches.
Yeah, he's obviously had one, and then Drew
And
hurt him.
Drew hurt him because, of course, he did, because Drew's like a beast, whatever. But I actually love their feud because what drew me to Drew, obviously right away,
Yeah,
was his promo. And I think he was really good at talking. So I know you said that this was something that is new-ish to him.
yeah. I mean, at least personally, like Drew used to wrestle back in the day, got fired, kind of reinvented himself, came back, and I think he's always had good promos. But I think the work he's been doing recently, especially with like was starting with the Seth Rollins feud, and to now, it's been like some of the best promos of his career.
Oh yeah, I that's what drew me to him. I know, keep saying that. Drew me to Drew. But I like that immediately. So I've always liked his talking. I think he's really good. And that's why I liked him with Seth Rollins, like this
Yeah.
little feud, because Seth's also a talker, just different.
Yes.
But man, when CM Punk came up, I just think they're so good at that. Because CM Punk, he is. He's a great talker. I
Yeah.
mean, man.
And you don't even know. You haven't even seen what CM Punk can do yet.
No, I mean, he got me on Monday. I was like, I'm on Drew's side, but some of the stuff he said, I was like, dang, that was good. And
Yeah.
he got us. He said, The Rock gets to cuss. I'm cussing too.
Yes.
And I was like, he just does it so well. Like his whole vibe is just perfect for him. He does it so well. But because I think Drew does well too, I like them together. I think they're just like, they just build that like tension and like that animosity. They like go back and forth. I just love it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think something with CM Punk is like he's effortless at the way he talks. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, yeah.
it just comes so naturally for him.
I honestly feel like that's just who he is.
I mean,
And
pretty
I
much.
could be wrong.
Pretty much. I mean, you listen to any interview, any podcast with him, and he's kind of just that way.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's great though. It doesn't seem like lazy. It's just like, he's just like that good.
Yes.
And I mean, it seems like, yeah, he could just take anybody down any day just with his words. And I love it.
Yeah. I mean, he's known as one of the best talkers in WWE for a reason, and yeah, I think it's deserved, and I think Drew's becoming that for sure.
No, and that's why I think they play really well together. And so I am excited. I mean, you kind of knew the moment CM Punk was drafted, because I was so afraid for Drew. And you're like, well, Drew's staying
Yeah.
because they have a feud.
They weren't going to separate those two.
Which I was like, oh, thank God he's going to Raw. I mean, it is crazy that CM Punk did get drafted before Drew. I mean, CM Punk's hurt. Drew had a championship, yes, for 5 minutes and 46 seconds, longer than CM Punk had it because he
Mhm.
didn't have it at all because he was hurt.
Yep.
I know he's probably had it in the past, but you know. So I think Drew should have been drafted first.
I mean, I think Adam Pearce was thinking, hey, this dude who is hurt is better than this dude who lost it in 5 minutes and 43 seconds or whatever.
Well, until I get proven otherwise, because he clearly wasn't better than him when he got hurt.
I mean, I think ratings probably show. I bet you anytime CM Punk talks, the ratings go through the roof.
Well, yeah, because you guys are like, oh, CM Punk, like, oh my gosh. And he just came back and you guys are just so excited. So you don't even know what to do. He could suck and you guys would be like, oh my gosh, CM Punk is back. Like, I'm so excited. And then, like, all his like drama in the background with all his interviews, you guys are just like, oh my gosh. So, I mean, he could be bad and you guys would be exciting. So it doesn't really get me yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think Adam Pearce definitely thinking about take the right moves to make here.
No, he did it for the drama.
Did it for the money.
Well, I think both. Because they could have drafted them at any time, and he drafted CM Punk before Drew.
Yes. Well, either way, it's interesting.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I can't wait for the future to continue. Hopefully, they both get completely healed. They're good to go, and they fight each other soon.
Yeah, he might get hurt again, so he better come with his A game, because I don't think Drew's going to let up.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, if I'm being a CM Punk fanboy here for a second, I can't wait. He's going to win. But being realistic, yeah, there's a good chance he's going to get hurt again, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, just Drew's like a beast compared to him.
Yeah.
Every time I'm always like, oh, and then I see Drew next to somebody, like, wow, he's like big.
Yeah, it's also like the third time he's been hurt in 3 years. So yeah, I get it. CM Punk's a little fragile right now.
I think CM Punk needs to drink some milk, build some strong bones.
I mean, you think
come back.
Like he doesn't, he's straight edge, so you think that he's got something to drink. Better be milk, right?
Well, he's got to be drinking something, but maybe more milk. I mean, he could do what Randy did and say, I'm just going to get as big as possible so you can't even break me because my muscles are just too big.
Yeah, that would be, I don't know if I want to see a big CM Punk. I think it would be kind of scary.
That's true. I do like Randy keeping that for himself.
Yes. Oh, gosh.
But, I mean, leading into this, I don't know if there's anybody else that, were like big moments for you. But we're coming into Backlash too this weekend. So it's just so much. I mean, wow, they did the draft on me, and then a week later they're going to do a Backlash. I'm too heightened.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't stop. The only other one that I would just a little surprised with was Jay staying on Raw. And, which means that he's not going to be feuding with the Bloodline. But that leads into Backlash and what's going to happen. And, I mean, you have to think that Damien's going to win.
Damien's winning, especially because they lost their 6-man match Monday.
Yes.
So, yeah, Damien's winning. But that's why we did think that Jay was going to go to SmackDown because, our predictions were pretty big for the Bloodline. I'm still not giving up on them.
Right.
Because we still could be right. It's just going to take longer than we thought.
Yes. So we'll see. But as you said, yes, they went straight from WrestleMania to the draft. Now we get Backlash. Right after Backlash, in 4 weeks, 3 weeks, we're gonna have the King and Queen of the Ring. It's gonna be.
Oh my gosh! And then it's the Clash at the Castle around that time too.
A little bit after, I think.
But then it's that, and then what? SummerSlam. Like,
yeah. It never stops. But yeah, early June is King and Queen of the Ring. So
And Gunther is gonna be the King of the Ring.
I mean,
because he is the King of the Ring.
That's your prediction.
I mean, he's the Ring General. It
Yes.
doesn't mean he can't also be the king.
King of the Ring.
He's the king.
Okay, well, we'll see. But we do have Backlash first. So that I'm really excited for on Saturday.
Me too. Now that I'm caught up and I know what's going on, this is like my first pay-per-view where I feel like I have a lot of background going into it. Obviously, WrestleMania I did, but this is like I'm way more like ready and knowing what's going on. So I'm excited for it too. It's my first Backlash. I don't know if they do this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, generally, at least, especially the last few years, Backlash happens right after WrestleMania. So it's WrestleMania. It's the Backlash from WrestleMania, Clever naming.
Oh, clever.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
So, but we'll talk about that next week.
Oh, for sure. How many hours is this one?
Should not be as long as WrestleMania,
But still, what, like 4, 5 hours, something like that?
Probably 4,
So wish me luck, guys. I got a lot of watching again this week. But
it's great, though. We love it.
They keep getting me, so here I am. I'm still here. Good job, Triple H. You're keeping me going.
It worked. So, but we'll talk about that next week then.
Oh, for sure.
Our reviews, our reaction, see how we liked it.
Yeah, see if all of our people win. We're expecting they are, so.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Cody is going to win. I don't see that happening.
Cody's winning. Damien's winning.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember now. Who
I
else?
mean, I think the other interesting one will be what happens with the Bloodline because it's
yes.
Tama and Solo versus Kevin Owens and Randy.
Randy and Kevin Owens are winning. That's my guess.
Unless another member of the Bloodline debuts.
Oh, in that case, let's go.
Yes.
I mean, I'm always for you, Randy, especially because Solo's a traitor.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think if nobody else debuts, it's just going to be Kevin and Randy because they're like the good guys in this.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Randy's like, he's like not a good guy, but
he's a good guy.
He's not, but I like his vibe though. So
Yeah.
he could stay the bad guy pretending to be good to me.
Well, you can think that all you want.
That's exactly what he's doing, but that's fine. He's great. He can do whatever he wants.
Randy Orton can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say nothing.
And our viewers and listeners can do whatever they want, especially if what they want to do is like, subscribe, and comment.
Oh, for sure. Comment. Let me know how crazy. I mean, if you guys want, you can just absolutely drag me for dragging Ilya. That's fine. For any of you, tell us your favorite draft picks or what, you were surprised to buy. Give us some backlash theories as well, especially if I'm wrong. But if I'm right, just like all my stuff.
Yeah. So, see you next time.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you. Bella, I love wrestling.
I know.